Our project was done on the public perception of plant biotechnology and GMOs. There are many misconceptions and negative perceptions around plant biotechnology, such as genetically modified organisms and agricultural practices. We wanted to see what our fellow Penn Staters think about plant biotechnology and if they follow these misconceptions or not. To do this, we interviewed 8 Penn State students about biotechnology and some of the topics surrounding it. First, we screened them with 4 control questions to ensure they had a basic knowledge of plants and biotechnology. Question 1. What is a GMO? Question 2. Can you explain how a GMO is created? Question 3. What type of things can harm a plant? Question 4. What type of traits do we want plants to confer when making a GMO? After answering our screening questions successfully, we developed 9 different questions ranging from knowledge on GMOs and who they believe is impacted to personal opinions. Here's what they thought. Question 1. Where do you hear about GMOs?
So I've mostly ever heard about GMOs on food labels. So when I'm shopping at the grocery store, I'll see different labels that'll say non-GMO, GMO. So that's the majority of the time where I'm in.
We hear a lot about GMOs, especially in the news, especially with people that are concerned with GMOs. You can see them a lot. They come up a lot in the media, especially through different articles online.
I hear about GMOs mostly from the media about food. That's pretty much it.
So I hear about GMOs throughout the media. Whenever you walk in stores, talking about organic foods. Sometimes see it in pop culture, talking about being healthy and how GMOs have a negative connotation behind it.
Probably just on certain products or just in the news about different crops being genetically modified.
GMOs, I hear most of them from engineering friends, or I guess talking like that, or just on TV. You see on CNN and current events with markets and economy and stuff like that.
Where do I hear about you? I don't even know.
The news.
Okay,
Yeah.
try again.
No,
Answer again.
where would
Say
someone
scientific journals.
More
Look
stuff
smart.
like newspapers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And food
Say
packaging.
scientific journals, and I'll say the news. But then that way you look really smart.
Question 2. Who are the stakeholders when considering the effects of GMOs?
So the different stakeholders would be the farmers, the government, the plants themselves, and consumers.
There's probably a lot of stakeholders, including the government, the environment, the different organizations that buy and sell GMOs, as well as the local farmer.
I guess the stakeholders for plant biotechnology would mostly be the consumers and also the farmers who are making the food that is genetically modified.
I would consider farmers the biggest stakeholders for GMOs or in biotechnology because they're the most affected. They're the people that grow our crops.
Well, I guess you have the farmers who are actually growing the crops because they have to use those genetically modified plants. And I guess you have the consumers too because, I'm the one eating them, I'm the one consuming them. So I guess I have a stake in this also.
Stakeholders for that kind of thing, I guess you would say the CEOs of companies, whoever produces them, or whoever wants most gain from it without having to risk moral dilemma and stuff like that.
Definitely farmers and companies.
Yeah,
But
definitely the farmers.
we need a plan of who's
I think
answering
I'm a
which
stakeholder,
question.
though. Listen,
Just
I
answer
have,
it. Dan, help
I
him
have
out.
some stake in what I'm eating.
Consumers.
Yeah, I'm a consumer. I think I have some stake in these GMOs.
Yeah, you do.
Right?
Yeah,
Am I wrong? I'm affected by this.
I guess.
And they're genetically modifying my plants.
Question 3. Which stakeholders have the most to lose or gain?
I think that the farmers have both most to gain and most to lose since their livelihood is based off of what they produce in their fields.
I would say that the stakeholder that has the most to gain would probably be the companies that are producing these GMOs and selling them off as products that are what they consider to be better than other plants or GMOs, other things. The one that has the most to lose would probably be the local farmer, especially if they use more organic and natural processes to produce their food.
I think consumers have the most to lose because, as far as I know, there's not that much known about the long-term effects, and farmers have the most to gain because with genetically modified plants, they'll be able to make more and sell more and then make more money?
Big farms have a lot to gain because they can like have better crops, like a bigger yield, and can like make more money that way. But then again, I guess smaller farms have a lot to lose if they can't access these like genetically modified plants.
Stakeholders that has the most to gain. I mean, like I said before, would be people producing them because they want more income for the company, not really contemplating the issues that are wrong with that.
I would say the farmers have a lot to lose.
The companies have the most to gain.
Yeah.
We just think that with the way that genetically modified crops, with the patents on these plants and the technology, that the farmers have the most to lose since they cannot reuse the seeds of these crops.
Question 4. Why are genetically modified food crops used?
Genetically modified food crops are used to make sure that the plants in the fields aren't affected by the pesticides and herbicides that are used to kill like animals that might be eating on the plants, or like weeds that would be growing in the fields that could be affecting how the plants are grown.
I would assume that they're used for a lot of different reasons. For example, to make food last longer, to make them potentially have more nutritional value, and to be produced in greater quantities.
I think genetically modified food crops are mostly used so that they're more resistant to plant diseases, fungi, bacteria, and the farmers can grow more crops because we need more food.
Oh, they're initially created to mass produce crops that you can't consistently grow throughout the year.
GMOs are basically used to provide resistance against like bacteria and viruses for the plants. So instead of spraying them with pesticides, they have like this immunity built into them. And it also like brings in extra nutrients and just makes the crops look more appealing to people who want to buy them.
Genetically modified food crops are used for the, I guess, sole purpose. There are seasons where you can't grow particular things, so to get more like a mass production kind of thing, like not really caring about if it's organic or natural, just getting it out into the market and producing as much money as possible.
I think they're used because the world is overpopulated and we need the strongest, biggest plants to feed everyone.
Question 5. Do you consider any moral or ethical issues with producing GMOs?
I think the biggest moral issue with GMOs is going to be in labeling. So whether companies are saying that they have GMOs or non-GMOs in their products, whether they do or not.
Yeah, there's definitely some ethical issues with GMO biotechnology, just because a lot of people think that modifying something that's natural is not necessarily good for you. And so I think a lot of people have ethical dilemmas in regards to that, as well as we don't really know how some of these different modifications can affect us in the future, especially since this is more of a recent technology.
I think it's unethical or unmoral when people don't know what they're buying and they're not sure that it's genetically modified, and because they might not know how it affects them long term.
I don't see any negative connotation behind it.
Well, I guess it's unethical for big companies to monopolize all of the crops and the ones being produced, because then I guess that also doesn't help with like small farms who can't have access to these things, and these companies are just taking over all the crops.
Me personally, no, until it starts showing. I don't know. I'm kind of ignorant on the topic, but if there are mass issues and health problems in people, obviously yeah. But at the moment, I don't think there are that many that big of an issue that I don't know of. So I would say no.
Me personally, no.
No.
Question 6. Do you trust plant biotechnology? Explain.
I think what's misleading about it is that a lot of foods will say non-GMO on their labels, and those foods are associated with being good or healthy, and I think that gives consumers the idea that GMOs are bad.
I have my ifs with it, just because it is technically not natural, and even though they have proven, most have proven to be safe so far, that we don't have a lot of research on what could be in the next 40 years after consuming these for that long of a time. So I do have reservations, but for the most part, I don't think that we would be able to sustain food for everybody globally if we didn't have GMOs.
I feel like there might be false labels, a little bit misleading. I don't think it's like something they're always like trying to tell us right away that when things have been genetically modified.
I trust plant biotechnology because some of the smartest scientists are backing it themselves, and I trust the smart scientists more than someone in the media.
Yeah, I trust it. I mean, obviously, they're being made for a reason.
I trust it. For now, it seems like I said it's fine. No one has been drastically affected by it. Unless something, worse happens in the future, I guess it would stop. But for now, it seems pretty good.
Yes.
Yes.
These people's lives. All they do is make plants and stuff. Yeah, I trust them. I mean, like, I know nothing about it. I'm sure they know a lot if that's what they think. Yeah.
Question 7. What are the risks you associate with GMOs?
So the biggest risk is because I think consumers don't know a lot about GMOs, so they don't know exactly what they're putting into their bodies.
One of the main risks with biotechnology, I think, is allergies. I think that people, you don't really know how people's bodies are going to react to something that's different than something natural until perhaps it's actually used in on a clinical basis with actual humans. So I think that there can be implications on allergies for sure.
So I think there's a lot that's unknown about it, and there might be risk factors in the long term that people don't know and aren't aware of.
There's a possibility that in the future that most people could be harmed, but we can't really know that because we're still in the early stages of using plant technology.
Well, I guess there's always a risk that the bacteria could get stronger because it's resisting the immunity built into the GMOs. So then that could just make the plants get infected with bacteria, and even myself after consuming them.
The risks, maybe a monopoly down the line where one company just starts doing mass producing them all together, modifying them, and just prices of crops skyrocket by a lot.
Overuse of pesticides.
Yeah. I'd say you can make plants that are have built-in pesticides, but that can also kill some animals, but then it can also affect us as well.
Question 8. What are the benefits you associate with GMOs?
It seems like GMOs would make the process of farming and producing plants more efficient.
Some of the advantages of biotechnology, again, like I said, is that, actually some can be used for more nutritional value of the plants, as well as being able to produce foods that are going to sustain longer and be able to feed the amount of people that we have in our population.
The benefits with plant biotechnology is being able to grow more food in more places. It's beneficial for farmers, both small town farmers and big town farmers. And if it is found to be healthy, then I guess there's more food options and healthy food options for people throughout the world.
The benefits behind plant biotechnology would be the ability to mass produce crops throughout the entire year. This has a lot of benefits in terms of being able to supply countries consistently with crops and vegetables that are probably necessary to their economy and potential to ending world hunger.
Well, I guess some of the GMOs have things that enhance the nutrients in them, so I'd be getting more nutrients eating certain plants that are genetically modified, so that's a good thing.
Benefits might just be furthering development, technology, things along that line, getting better, finding alternatives to grow crops, stuff like that for the future.
Larger crops.
Yeah, bigger, better, healthy. I guess I don't know. But better crops. We've so many people on this earth. We got to feed them somehow. The regular traditional crop methods clearly aren't working.
Question 9. Should plant biotechnology be stopped?
I don't think that GMOs or genetically modified plants should be stopped because it seems like it's creating the most efficient system within farming, and also it's probably creating a lot more economic efficiency within farming and planting. So no, it should not be stopped.
I think that biotechnology should not necessarily be stopped. I just think that there needs to be more research and a better understanding of how GMOs can affect our body and how they affect the rest of our environment. But for right now, I think that it is a very sustainable way of producing foods and things of that nature. So I think that for right now, it should not be stopped, but just to continue research on it.
I don't think plant biotechnology should be stopped, but I definitely think it should be monitored more and people should be made more aware of what's going on.
No, it should not be, because at the rate that the human population is growing, there's no possibility that we can keep up with the amount of land that we have in terms of farming. So we need to genetically recreate crops.
I don't think it should be stopped. Like, obviously, the technology is good.
I don't think it should be stopped. There could be ways to make it better, but definitely not stopped because there are, like I said, benefits to it.
No, not at all. If anything, it should be enhanced and doubled in its ferocity.
As you can see, there was a common theme among these Penn State students. They weren't necessarily untrustworthy of GMOs, just wished to learn more about how it affects them personally, as well as the environment and economy immediately and in the long run.